The silent sector, the distress signal, pulsed through the void like a dying heartbeat. Commander Tresh of the Valor mining colony watched his communication console with fading hope. 43 ships had detected their emergency broadcast. 43 vessels had changed course to avoid their sector entirely. His three-fingered hands trembled as he updated the evacuation status. 2,000 miners and their families waited in the shelter levels below, praying for salvation that would not come. The approaching darkness Tresh knew why nobody answered. The Korthak swarm was coming. Every species in the galaxy feared them. They were not conquerors who wanted territory. They were not raiders who wanted resources. The Korthaks were parasites who consumed entire populations, using living bodies as hosts for their larvae. Colonies infected by the swarm became breeding grounds. The screams lasted for weeks before silence finally came. 3 mining outposts had already fallen this season. Valor Station would be the 4th. The tactical display showed the swarm fleet approaching from the galactic rim. 15 bioships, each one grown rather than built, pulsing with organic technology that made Tresh's stomach turn. They would arrive in less than 2 hours. His station had no weapons, no military escort, no hope. The Galactic Council had promised protection patrols, but those promises meant nothing when actual danger appeared. Every species looked after their own first dot, an unexpected voice Tresh, prepared to send a final message to his family on the Valor. Homeworld when a new signal cut through the static. The voice that emerged spoke in clear galactic standard. Though the accent was strange, and the tone carried an unusual quality that Tresh could not immediately identify. Valor Station. This is the Earth vessel Wandering Star. We have received your distress call and are adjusting course to your position. Please confirm your situation and provide current threat assessment. Tresh checked his scanner in confusion. The Wandering Star was a survey ship, not military. Its registry showed it was from Earth, a planet that had joined the galactic community only 4 standard cycles ago. The vessel carried a crew of 8 humans, conducting mineral surveys in the outer territories. They had no weapon systems, no armor plating, nothing that would help against the Korthak swarm. Wandering Star, this is Commander Tresh. Your assistance is appreciated, but unnecessary. The Korthak swarm approaches with 15 bioships. You must leave this sector immediately. Your vessel cannot help us, and you will only add yourselves to the casualties. The weight of Decision A pause followed. Tresh heard voices in the background, humans speaking rapidly in their native language. The sounds were harsh and quick, full of sharp consonants that the translator struggled to process correctly. Then the voice returned, and something fundamental had changed in its tone. It carried certainty now, solid and unmovable as bedrock. Commander, my name is Captain Maria Santos. My crew has voted. We are not leaving you to face this alone. We are moving to intercept position between your station and the incoming threat. How long until the swarm arrives? Tresh felt his breathing chambers constrict. These humans were choosing to die for strangers. It made no logical sense. Their species barely knew the galaxy. They had no obligations, no treaties, no reason to sacrifice themselves for a Valor mining colony they had never heard of until today. Captain Santos, you must understand what you are facing. The Korthaks do not kill quickly. They infect living hosts. The process is agonizing and takes many days. Please reconsider. Your bravery is noted, but this is not your fight. Deathworlder Logic Maria Santos responded immediately, and her voice carried something that made Tresh's spine straighten despite his fear. It was not bravado or false confidence. It was the sound of someone who had already made peace with a difficult choice and would not be moved from it. Commander, Earth is what the galaxy calls a death world. Our planet has tried to kill us since the day our species learned to walk upright. We evolved alongside predators that could crush our skulls with a single bite. We survived ice ages, volcanic eruptions, diseases that killed millions. We learned something important through all of that. We learned that no human survives alone. We protect each other, even when it is hard, especially when it is hard. You are people in danger. That makes this exactly our fight. The wandering star appeared on Tresh's scanner, accelerating toward the station. It positioned itself directly between Valor and the approaching swarm fleet. One small survey vessel preparing to face 15 biological nightmares. Tresh activated the station-wide communication system and ordered everyone to the deepest shelter levels. Then he opened a private channel to the human ship. "Captain, I do not understand your species, but I honor your courage. What can we do to help? Keep your people safe and stay calm. I contacted Earth Command before we changed course. Help is coming, but we need to buy time. How long can your station's shields hold against swarm attacks?" Tresh checked his defensive systems. The mining colony had basic shields designed to deflect micrometeorites and radiation. Nothing that would stop military-grade weapons or biological attacks. Perhaps 15 minutes under sustained assault. "Commander, even if your homeworld sends help, they cannot arrive in time. Earth is too far away. The calculations alone for an emergency jump would take hours." Maria Santos laughed, and the sound was not bitter or afraid. It was genuinely amused, as if Tresh had something funny. "Commander, you are about to learn something important about humans. We are very good at doing things that should be impossible when people we care about are in danger. Just hold on. We have got this." The swarm arrives the Korthax bioships, dropped out of hyperspace exactly on schedule. 15 massive organic vessels, their hulls pulsing with diseased colors that hurt to look at directly. They resembled deep-sea creatures more than spacecraft, covered in appendages that writhed and grasped at empty space. Sensor readings showed millions of larvae gestating inside each ship, ready to be deployed as living weapons. The swarm broadcast on all frequencies. The voice was not translated by computers, but transmitted directly into neural pathways, making every listener feel its words as physical sensations of dread and despair. Asterisk, colony creatures detected. Suitable hosts identified. Resistance is irrelevant. Preparation for harvest will begin immediately. Surrender will reduce suffering duration by estimated 43%. Before Tresh could respond, Captain Santos opened her own broadcast. Her voice cut through the swarm's psychic pressure like a blade through flesh, clear and defiant. "Korthax Swarm, this is Captain Maria Santos of Earth. These people are under our protection. You will power down your weapons and withdraw from this system immediately, or you will face consequences." Silence followed. Then something unexpected happened. The swarm laughed. It was a horrible sound, wet and chittering, like millions of insects clicking their mandibles in unison. Small vessel detected. Single species aboard. Classification: unknown. Threat assessment: negligible. Harvest will include new genetic material. Earth specimens will provide interesting larvae hosts. Tresh watched his scanner as the swarm ships began their approach, spreading into an envelopment pattern designed to surround the station completely. The wandering star held its position, impossibly small against the biological armada. Inside that tiny ship, 8 humans waited to face an enemy that had consumed dozens of worlds. The impossible arrives, then space bent. Reality twisted in 15 different locations simultaneously, and ships began appearing around the swarm fleet. Not 1 or 2 vessels, but dozens of them, materializing in perfect formation with mathematical precision that should have been impossible. Human warships, each one bristling with weapons and armor, positioned to create a complete sphere around the Korthax bioships. Tresh stared at his scanner in absolute disbelief. The hyperspace signatures showed these ships had jumped from Earth's home system. The distance they had crossed in less than 2 hours should have required at least 20 hours of travel time. The coordination necessary to arrive simultaneously without colliding would require computational power beyond anything the Galactic Council possessed. Yet here they stood. A full Earth defense fleet, summoned by a single survey ship's call for help. A new voice filled the communication channels. It belonged to a human male, older than Captain Santos, carrying the weight of authority and experience. Korthak's Swarm. This is General Marcus Webb of the Earth Defense Force. You are surrounded and outgunned. Our weapons are locked on every one of your vessels. You have one opportunity to withdraw peacefully. Choose wisely. The swarm's response was immediate and violent. All 15 bioships opened fire at once, launching biological projectiles toward the human fleet. Tresh watched in horror as the attack began, certain he was about to witness the destruction of the species, foolish enough to help him. What he saw instead would change his understanding of warfare forever. The human ships moved in ways that defied his knowledge of physics and tactics. They fought like nothing he had ever witnessed, and the Korthak Swarm was about to learn what it meant when Deathworlders decided to protect instead of prey. Asterisk. The hunters become prey. The biological projectiles launched by the Korthak Swarm streaked through space like diseased comets. Each one contained thousands of larvae wrapped in acidic gel, designed to burn through ship hulls and infect whatever crew waited inside. It was a terror weapon as much as a military one, meant to break enemy morale before the real fighting began. The Swarm had used these weapons to conquer 47 worlds across 3 sectors. No species had ever developed an effective defense. The Deathworlder, Response General Marcus Webb, watched the incoming projectiles from his command ship, the Resilient. His tactical officer called out threat assessments, tracking velocities and impact predictions. Marcus listened with half his attention, while the other half focused on the bigger picture. The Korthaks had just made their first mistake. They had assumed human ships would behave like every other species in the galaxy. All vessels execute dispersal pattern Sierra. Point defense systems free to engage. Fighter squadrons launch immediately. His orders were calm and precise, delivered without hesitation or doubt. The human fleet exploded into motion. Ships that had been holding formation suddenly scattered in 3-dimensional patterns that used vertical and diagonal space most species ignored. They moved with acceleration forces that would have killed crews from less resilient worlds, pulling maneuvers that treated space as a complete sphere of possibility rather than a flat plane. Point defense. Cannons opened fire, filling the void with precisely targeted streams of projectiles. The biological weapons began exploding before they reached their targets, torn apart by defensive fire that tracked hundreds of threats simultaneously. Within 30 seconds, every single larvae projectile had been destroyed. Not one reached a human hull. Commander Tresh watched from Baylor Station with his mouth hanging open. His species had sophisticated technology and experienced military forces, yet he had never seen defensive fire that accurate or that comprehensive. The humans had eliminated a threat that should have overwhelmed their systems through sheer numbers. Unconventional warfare. The Korthak Swarm paused, processing this unexpected development. Their bioships pulsed with agitation, organic sensors struggling to track targets that moved in unpredictable patterns. The Swarm was ancient and experienced, but they fought using instinct and biology rather than innovation. They had never needed to adapt because their numbers and resilience always won eventually. General Webb watched the enemy hesitation and pressed his advantage. All ships target the bioship's propulsion organs. Disable, do not destroy. We need to know if they are carrying captives inside those vessels. Human warships opened fire with weapons that had been designed specifically for precision rather than raw destructive power. Energy beams lanced out, striking the pulsing nodes along each bioship's hull that served as their propulsion systems. The Korthax vessels shuddered and writhed, trying to maneuver away, but the human targeting was relentless. 3 bioships lost propulsion within the first minute of engagement. They tumbled through space, still alive, but unable to control their movement. The swarm's psychic broadcast filled all frequencies with rage and confusion. Impossible tactic detected. Species classification updated. Threat level elevated. Full assault authorization granted. The remaining 12 bioships changed their approach entirely. They stopped trying to fire projectiles and instead accelerated directly toward the human fleet, intending to close distance and use their hull-mounted appendages as weapons. Each bioship was massive, easily 3 times the size of the largest human destroyer. If they could get close enough to grapple, their acidic secretions would eat through metal and composite armor within minutes. Close quarters. Marcus Webb had expected this response. He had studied every recorded Korthax engagement available in the galactic database. The swarm always resorted to physical contact when ranged attacks failed. It was their nature as parasites to get close to their hosts. Launch boarding parties. Assault shuttles, you are cleared for insertion. Remember your training. These creatures are tough, but they have vulnerabilities. Aim for the neural clusters and stay together. 20 assault shuttles launched from the human carriers, small craft packed with Marines in powered armor. They accelerated toward the disabled bioships while the main fleet kept. The active swarm vessels busy with sustained fire. Lieutenant Sarah Chun led the first boarding team. She had grown up in the Australian outback, learning to survive in an environment where everything from spiders to plants could kill a careless person. The Korthax did not frighten her any more than the redback spiders she had encountered as a child. They were dangerous, yes, but they could be beaten with proper knowledge and preparation. Her shuttle punched through the outer membrane of a disabled bioship, and her team poured into the organic corridors beyond. The interior was nightmare-made flesh, pulsing walls that leaked fluids and chambers filled with writhing larvae. Most species would have hesitated or panicked at the sight. Sarah's Marines advanced methodically, following their scanners toward the center of the vessel. The discovery, what they found, changed the nature of the battle entirely. The bioship's core chamber was not just a control center. It was a holding area, and it was filled with captives. Dozens of aliens from multiple species, sealed in organic pods that kept them alive but paralyzed. Sensor readings showed some had been there for months, slowly being drained of biological material to feed the swarm's reproduction. Command, this is Chun. We have found prisoners inside the bioship. Multiple species, some in critical condition. Requesting immediate medical support and extraction teams. Marcus Webb's expression hardened. He had hoped the intelligence reports were wrong, that the Korthax did not actually keep victims alive for extended periods. The confirmation made his next decisions easier, even as it made them heavier. Copy that, Lieutenant. Secure the prisoners and prepare for extraction. All teams, priority has changed. We are now conducting a rescue operation. Disable all swarm vessels and prepare for boarding actions across the fleet. The battle's intensity increased as human forces shifted from defensive tactics to aggressive assault. Fighter squadrons harried the mobile bioships, targeting their sensory organs to blind them. Destroyers closed distance and fired specialized ammunition designed to penetrate organic armor without causing catastrophic explosions that might kill captives inside. The swarms. Realization, the Korthax swarm had conquered dozens of worlds by being relentless and unstoppable. They reproduced faster than enemies could kill them. They adapted to toxins and diseases. They could survive in vacuum for hours and required minimal resources to sustain themselves. Every advantage belonged to the parasite dot except against an enemy that fought with precision instead of panic. except against warriors who came from a world so hostile that they had learned to overcome impossible odds as a basic survival skill. Except against humans. One by one, the bioships fell. Human boarding parties punched into their hulls and fought through organic corridors, rescuing captives while neutralizing the swarm's neural centers. The Corvax fought desperately, throwing wave after wave of adult forms at the invaders. The Marines met them with coordinated fire and tactics developed from thousands of years of hunting. Dangerous predators on Earth. Commander Tresh watched the battle unfold from Valor Station's command center. Around him, his staff had stopped working and simply stared at the displays in wonder. The humans fought like nothing they had ever witnessed. There was no hesitation, no retreat, no moment where they seemed overwhelmed by the horror of what they faced. They moved through those biological nightmares as if it was routine work. How? One of Tresh's officers whispered. How can they fight in those conditions without losing their minds? Tresh thought about Captain Santis's words. Earth is a death world. He was beginning to understand what that truly meant. These humans had evolved on a planet where danger was constant and threats came from every direction. They had learned not just to survive, but to master their fear and use it as fuel for determination. The final vessel, the last mobile bioship, made a desperate attempt to escape, its propulsion organs pulsing at maximum capacity as it tried to reach hyperspace distance. General Webb's flagship, the Resilient, pursued it relentlessly. The human destroyer was faster and more maneuverable despite being smaller than the swarm vessel. Target its hyperspace generation organ. Single shot, center mass. Disable it cleanly. The weapons officer fired with surgical precision. The energy beam struck exactly where intended, and the bioship's hyperspace capability died instantly. The vessel drifted to a stop, trapped in normal space with nowhere left to run. Marcus Webb opened a direct channel to the swarm vessel. When he spoke, his voice carried no triumph or cruelty, only firm resolve. Corvax Swarm, this engagement is over. You have lost. We are boarding your vessel to rescue any captives you hold. You can allow this peacefully, or we can cut our way in. Either way, those people are coming home. Choose. The response came slowly, the psychic pressure weak and confused. The swarm was experiencing something new. Defeat. Complete and total defeat at the hands of a species they had never encountered before. Query. What classification applies to Earth species? Standard threat matrices insufficient for analysis. Marcus allowed himself a small, grim smile. We are survivors. We are protectors. We are humans. Remember those words, because this is what happens when you threaten people under our watch. We do not run. We do not abandon those in need. We answer the call, and we do not stop until everyone is safe. Aftermath and understanding 3 hours after the battle ended. Commander Tresh stood in Valor Station's docking bay as human medical teams transferred rescued captives to treatment facilities. 63 individuals from 7 different species. All of them alive because 8 humans in a survey ship had decided that strangers were worth protecting. Captain Maria Santos approached him, still wearing her pressure suit. Her face showed exhaustion, but her eyes remained sharp and focused. Commander Tresh, your station is secure. The swarm vessels are disabled and under guard. Galactic Council, authorities have been notified and are sending representatives to take custody of the ships and any surviving Corvax. Tresh performed his species' gesture of profound respect, lowering his head and extending his hands palm up. Captain Santos, I owe you an apology. When you first told me you would not abandon us, I thought you were being foolish. I believed you did not understand the danger you faced. Maria shook her head gently. You were trying to protect us. That shows good character, Commander. There is nothing to apologize for. But I must explain something I now understand. When you said this was your fight, I thought you meant it was a matter of honor or duty. But it is more than that for your species, is it not? You truly could not conceive of doing anything else. Maria considered his words carefully before responding. Earth taught us many things, Commander. It taught us to be strong because we had to be. It taught us to be clever because strength alone was not enough. But most importantly, it taught us that we are stronger together than apart. Every human alive exists because our ancestors protected each other through ice ages, droughts, predators, diseases, and disasters that should have ended us. We learned that no one survives alone. When we heard your distress call, we did not think about whether we could win or what it would cost us. We only thought about the fact that you needed help, and we could provide it. That is what humans do. General Webb joined them, having just finished coordinating with Earth Command. He looked at Commander Tresh with an expression of professional assessment. Commander, your station performed well under pressure. Your evacuation procedures likely saved hundreds of lives. When my report reaches Earth, I will be recommending that we establish a permanent defense station in this sector. The Korthax may think twice before returning, but if they do, they will find humans waiting. Tresh felt emotion constrict his breathing chambers. General Webb, I must ask, how did your fleet arrive so quickly? The mathematics should have been impossible. Marcus exchanged a glance with Captain Santos, and something passed between them. Pride, perhaps, or satisfaction. Commander, humans have been dealing with impossible situations since we climbed down from the trees. When Captain Santos sent her emergency request, our orbital command made a decision. They calculated a jump that pushed our hyperspace drives to absolute maximum capacity, accepted a 5% chance of catastrophic system failure, and executed the maneuver anyway because the alternative was leaving people to die. We made it work because we had to make it work. That is also what humans do. The message spreads within days. Word of the Vaylor incident spread throughout the galactic community. The story was told and retold, gaining details and emphasis with each telling. 8 humans in an unarmed survey ship had placed themselves between a mining colony and certain death. A human fleet had crossed impossible distances to answer a distress call from strangers. Human warriors had boarded biological nightmares to rescue captives from species they barely knew. The Galactic Council convened emergency sessions to discuss the implications. Some species expressed concern about humanity's military capabilities. Others saw opportunity for alliance with warriors so determined and effective. All of them recognized that something fundamental had changed. The Korthax, sworn, retreated to the galactic rim and did not venture into civilized space again. Whether from fear or calculation, they had learned their lesson. There were Deathworlders in the galaxy now, and these particular Deathworlders had decided that preying on the weak was unacceptable. Commander, Tresh kept a recording of Captain Santos's first transmission, the moment when she told him they were not leaving. Sometimes, when his duties felt overwhelming or the universe seemed too cold and empty, he would play that recording and remember what he had learned. Humans did not run from danger when others needed help. They ran toward it. They answered the call every time without fail. And the galaxy was safer because of it.